The Code of the Sith clearly stated that power and strength were the most important goals of any Dark Lord. In many ways, the pursuit of ever more power was not just a selfish or greedy objective. For the Sith, it was a deeply spiritual one. They believed that through power, their chains would be broken, freeing them from mortal inevitabilities such as death that they saw as a form of slavery. The Sith existed within the galaxy in one form or another for hundreds of thousands of years. But out of the thousands of Sith that have ever existed, who was the most successful in achieving the Sith's stated goals of unlimited power? In today's video, we will discuss the most powerful of the Sith Lords, before concluding which Sith truly held the most power. Of course, power can take many forms, with different Sith utilizing different abilities and skills to exact their will upon others. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe with the notification bell on for future videos. Over the next few weeks, I'll have a video on the most powerful bounty hunter as well as a super long video on all 60 lightsaber crystals explained. I also have a 10% discount over on VF Sabers if you use the code SITH10 at the checkout. I've left a link in the description if you want to add a beautiful new saber to your collection. Anyway, that's enough self-promotion for today. Let's get on with the video. We will begin with a very ancient Sith. In fact, many consider him to be the first Sith Lord and remember him as the Sith Chosen One. King Adas lived almost 30,000 years before the Clone Wars on the planet Korriban. This was a time of great hardship for the Sith species and the wider galaxy. Many star systems were under the iron grip of the Katarr, a dark side-wielding species with advanced technological abilities. King Adas was the first Sith to unite the warring Sith clans, but soon after faced a full-scale invasion by the Katarr. If you want to know the details of Adas and the Sith-Katarr war, then check out this video on screen now. The most important detail to note for this video is that King Adas and the Sith armies actually beat the Katarr, the first species in over 10,000 years to actually do so. This was largely due to Adas' own great power and leadership skills. Not only was he a master swordsman, he was also a master in many abilities that were anathema to the Sith of the Clone Wars era. This included dark side alchemy and other forms of Sith magic. However, as so little is known about this ancient Sith Lord, his true power is unknown. Nevertheless, his achievement in being the first leader to successfully repel the Katarr, the creators of the Star Forge, suggests he was indeed very powerful and a strong contender for the most powerful Sith Lord. Next, we have another ancient Sith, Tulak Hord. Like Adas, he was known for his skill with Sith magic and alchemy. However, this was not what made him a contender for the most powerful Sith Lord of all time. Tulak Hord was considered by many to be the most skilled duelist of all time. Darth Revan's master, Darth Krayt, agreed with this sentiment, remarking to Mitra Surik that if you were to face an ancient Sith Lord in combat, you would learn that we are as children playing with toys, compared to the prowess of the old masters. Although when exactly he ruled the Sith Empire has been lost to history, it is known that he ruled over one of the Sith Empire's golden ages. It is said that he personally broke the sieges laid down by the Jedi on Imperial strongholds. This led to the death of over 1,000 Jedi Knights, with Hord eventually going on to conquer over 100 worlds for the Sith Empire. He was also known to utilize the Force Drain ability, similar to Darth Nilas, a Sith we will discuss later on in this video. During battle, he would strip the life force of those around him to replenish his own power while also weakening his opponents. It is also stated that he downed a Star Destroyer using only the power of his mind, similar to Starkiller from The Force Unleashed. Another contender for the most powerful Sith Lord is Darth and Dadu. In some ways, Dadu was the creator of many dark side abilities that would later be utilized by many Sith Lords. He was a master of Sith alchemy, telekinesis, and Force illusions. However, most importantly of all, he was the creator of Transfer Essence, a way in which the Sith could cheat death. Darth and Dadu rose in power and prominence during the old Sith Empire, with many at the time regarding him with fear and jealousy. Darth and Dadu became fearful and paranoid of his Sith brethren, rising up and stealing his power, and so he guarded his newfound abilities from the rest of the Order, and Dadu was eventually proven correct, when many lesser Sith banded together to overthrow him. And Dadu fled from Korriban to his homeworld of Prakeeth, creating a false tomb to make the other Sith believed he had perished. Taking over his homeworld, Dadu took the modest name of the immortal God King of Prakeeth, ruling over it for many centuries. Eventually, the Dark Lord was consumed by his own paranoia, and so he chose to die. And Dadu would rather die with all the knowledge he had acquired than live and one day see it fall to his enemies. And Dadu believed that true power came not from his body but from his mind, meaning that if he believed something to be true, it would manifest itself in reality. This allowed him to live in a ghost form for thousands of years up until the time of Darth Krayt, the next Sith Lord we will discuss today. Darth Krayt was the preeminent Sith after Palpatine. Instead of the rule of 2, Krayt instigated the rule of 1, whereby he would rule over many lesser Sith through his immense power. Krayt had significant power in the Force, able to use Force Lightning and Force Heal to great effect. On one occasion, he was able to easily defeat Cade Skywalker, the grandson of Luke Skywalker, using nothing but the power of the Force. His power was so great that every other lesser Sith could feel his presence within the galaxy, leaving them fearful and subservient to the Dark Lord. He is also one of the few mortals to battle Abeloth and live to tell the tale, although he did receive help from Grandmaster Luke Skywalker. Luke himself was also fearful of this Dark Lord, despite his many insane force feats seen in Legends. Due to his rule of 1 Sith, he also held significant political power, destroying the New Jedi Order and ruling over most of the galaxy. Like Dadu, he was also a master of essence transfer and other darkside healing techniques. After being struck down by Darth Warlock, he was able to resurrect himself from death using Dark Transfer, an ability that also magnified his power in the Force while allowing him to use his old body. Using the dark side, Krayt was able to live for almost 200 years, and likely would have lived longer if he had not been killed and vanquished by Cade Skywalker. And now we will move on to the most famous and arguably the most successful Sith of all. In Legends, a reborn Palpatine was highly skilled in the Force Storm ability. Palpatine was able to use this power to ravage the surface of planets, destroy whole fleets of starships, and teleport individuals thousands of light years across the galaxy. Theoretically, he could even use this power to move people or himself through time. Palpatine was also proficient in the use of Sith alchemy and Sith magic, although this was not his greatest strength, as so much Sith knowledge regarding these techniques had been lost by the time of the Imperial era. Despite this, Sidious was able to discover the ability of essence transfer, whereby he would dominate the mind of an individual and completely take over their body, granting him a form of immortality. Palpatine was also highly skilled in all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, going toe-to-toe with Yoda and defeating Maul and Savage Opress with relative ease. Palpatine was also a master manipulator, in part due to his ability to cloak himself using the Force, but also due to his intelligence and charisma. This meant Sidious was the only Sith to succeed in destroying the Republic, allowing him to utilize a galaxy's worth of resources to create many darkside abominations and technological terrors. While this is obviously not his own direct power, his skills as a Machiavellian politician certainly granted him more power than any darkside ability ever did. Although his political power likely eclipses his power in the Force, this doesn't mean his powers should be discounted. During his final death, it took the combined might of all the deceased Jedi to vanquish his spirit to chaos and prevent him from ravaging the galaxy once again. Next up, we have another strong contender, Darth Vitiate. Darth Vitiate was also highly skilled in dominating the minds of his opponents, even more so than Palpatine. He was so powerful that he dominated the minds of 8,000 fellow Sith, using it to create a ritual that consumed their spirits and destroyed the entire planet of Nethema. Vitiate did this to grant himself near immortality and increased his dark side power, feeding upon their spirits to live for 1,000 years. Vitiate's ultimate goal was to repeat this ritual, only this time using all power in the galaxy to grant him unlimited power. The ancient Sith Emperor was one of the most notable users of Sith alchemy and Sith magic, utilizing many Sith artifacts and rituals to grant him a stronger connection to the dark side. Just like Sidious and Dadu and Krayt, Vitiate could use essence transfer, but to a much greater degree. As well as transferring his consciousness to others when he was killed, he could also place parts of his spirit within unsuspecting victims. Most notably, he used this power to take over the mind of Valkorion, using the body to create the Eternal Empire in the Unknown Regions, even as he ruled over the Sith Empire. In regards to his lightsaber skills, this was not his strong suit. While he was very skilled, he relied on the fact he had various doppelgangers to prevent himself from dying. focusing on achieving power through the dark side rather than through lightsaber combat. Just like Palpatine, Vitiate's spirit was finally condemned to chaos by the combined might of many fallen Jedi, finally ending the ancient Sith's millennia-long rule. And last of all, we have Nilus, the Lord of Hunger. Unlike other Sith, Nilus did not want to rule the galaxy. In a way, he was similar to Vitiate, wanting to use his powers to consume all life in the galaxy. As he was a wound in the Force itself, Nilus did not require the use of complex rituals to wreak havoc on the galaxy, and could consume the entire life force of a planet using only his mind. Nilus was not very skilled with a lightsaber when compared to other Sith Lords, but made up for it with his terrifying Force powers, and was even able to sever his opponent's connection to the Force as he did with his master, Darth Krayt. Nilus was unlike any other Sith, with the dark side consuming his entire body until only his dark soul remained. In this way, he was more akin to a dark side entity, like the Sun or Abeloth. Nilus was even able to live on after death as a Force ghost, a feat that was rarely achieved by any Sith. So, who was the most powerful? Well, it depends on your definition of power, and what you believe to be the most important. In terms of lightsaber combat, Tulak Horde or Darth Krayt were likely the most skilled, with Palpatine a close contender. Nilas and Vitiate are likely on equal footing when it comes to lightsaber combat, while Dadu is in last place. Adas did not wield a lightsaber as they had not been invented yet, although his skill with his legendary axe likely meant he was up there with Tulak Horde and Krayt when it came to melee combat. When it comes to skill with the Force, the top spot has to go to Vitiate. While Dadu, Tulak Horde and Adas were all powerful Sith sorcerers, likely of equal skill, Vitiate was the one who perfected these spells and rituals. However, after the death of Vitiate, much of this dark side magic was lost to the Sith, and by the time of Palpatine, he was practically only a legend. While Palpatine was able to rediscover many of these abilities, he was killed and vanquished before he could rival the power of Vitiate. After all, Vitiate had over 1,000 years on the Imperial throne, while Palpatine had only 20. Krayt comes in second to last place for this section. Simply too much Sith magic had been lost by this point, forcing him to create new variations of old abilities such as Dark Transfer. And in last place we have Nilas, a being of pure power that had no need for spells or alchemy. However, in terms of raw Force potential, Nilas certainly gets the top spot. He had no need for complex rituals or spells. Nilas simply had the innate ability to strip a whole planet of the Force. Next is likely Vitiate, a Sith so powerful he had taken over a Sith colony world at the age of just 6 years old. However, I would wager that Adas held similar power. After all, he was the Sith chosen one. Next, we have Palpatine, a Sith with a similar Force potential to Yoda, and I would imagine the Tulak Horde was also at a similar power level. And finally, we have Dadu and Krayt. They both gain much of their power through their unorthodox and experimental use of the dark side, not through sheer Force power. And next, we have political power, which in my opinion is the most important. Palpatine is the clear winner in this regard. He was the only Sith who actually managed to achieve their stated aim of galactic domination. He was also the undisputed ruler of the Empire, having no real threats to his rule. In second place, we have Darth Krayt, whose empire was almost as large as Palpatine's. However, due to the instability caused by the rule of one Sith philosophy, his grip on power was not as ironclad as Palpatine's, and he was always at risk of being overthrown. Next, we have Vitiate. His Sith empire was powerful but never actually defeated the Republic. Although his Eternal Empire briefly took over both the Sith and the Republic, he was soon overthrown. What's more, his Sith Empire suffered from internal struggles with Sith such as Darth Malgus straight up abandoning Vitiate's rule. It's hard to know where Tulak Horde would be placed in this ranking. It is likely that he held significant power within the Sith Empire, but the truth is we just don't know enough about him. However, he most likely held less power than Vitiate, but likely more than Dadu and Adas. In second to last place, we have Adas. However, this is mainly due to the fact his empire was so small. He held significant power over his subjects, who worshipped him as a god. If he had ruled during the golden age of the Sith, it is likely he would be higher up in this ranking. And of course, Dadu is in last place. Although he had power over an entire planet, this simply isn't good enough for a Sith Lord, putting him far below any other Sith on this list in terms of political clout. I believe that Dadu is the weakest Sith Lord on this list. Other than discovering Force Essence Transfer, he had few achievements. What's more, Vitiate was likely more skilled in terms of dark side force powers and magic. I'm going to put Tulak Horde and King Adas equal in power. Both were incredibly powerful in the Force, but they ruled during a time where the Sith were much weaker, and were barely a spacefaring culture. However, in terms of melee combat, these two were certainly up there with the greatest of all time. Next, we have Darth Krayt. There is no doubt that Krayt was extremely powerful. However, so much Sith knowledge had been lost by his rule, he was significantly disadvantaged when it came to the Force. His skill with the lightsaber and Empire were considerable, hence why he is not in last place. Next, we have Darth Nilas, the Lord of Hunger. His Force Drain ability immediately makes him one of the most powerful Sith. However, his skills with the lightsaber were lacking, and I believe that a Sith such as Palpatine or Vitiate would most likely defeat him. So, who is the most powerful? I believe that the title of the most powerful Sith goes to Vitiate. Vitiate held political power over 2 empires, was pretty much unkillable, and was highly skilled in many dark side abilities. Palpatine was from the rule of 2 era Sith. He gained his power through treachery, not through military might and dark side power. As I previously stated, Vitiate simply had over 1,000 years of extra time to enact his plans and perfect his skills, therefore making him the most powerful Sith Lord of all time. If you want to learn more about the Sith, their past and how they were formed, then make sure to check out this video.